as honorary consul for the future here in this region?
Absolutely. As you know, this is a new honorary consulate. My position is new. I'm the first in this region for Hungary. Right. And so we have a lot of work to do. Part of it's becoming known, part of it's planning at this point, but we already are implementing some things on a fairly small level. But there have been a number of contacts between some interested Georgia businesses and Hungarian businesses. And I think that after the summer months pass and we enter into a more active business season, right, then we'll see further developments. And I think that you and others in this area will be hearing more about it as we right. proceed. As you know, in Europe, the months of July and August are not prime business months. And so I think that probably by the honorary consulate becoming established in May, that accorded well with the plans, the European timetable.
Given all the choices of visiting as a tourist in the world, why would somebody from Atlanta want to visit Hungary?
Oh, it's a beautiful city. It has a great history. One of the things that attracted me most to Budapest is that mass tourism is only just now beginning to flow into that country. If you go to Prague today, for example, it looks very different from Budapest in terms of the number of tourists and the number of tourist-related businesses that you see. The thing that I noticed in Prague in November, and I don't mean this to reflect negatively at all, is that everywhere you went, there were hundreds, it seemed, of American tourists, and of course the shops and the vendors that follow tourism were well established there. It's a beautiful city, Prague. Budapest seems much more genuine at this point. There are an increasing number of tourists, and they're extremely tourists, and they're extremely welcome in Budapest and in Hungary. They want more, as a matter of fact. It's very good for the economy, but it's not yet reached the level where it looks like it's been taken over by tourists, and the original old buildings from the Habsburg Empire, when Hungary was part of the dual monarchy, Austria-Hungary, and even before, have all been wonderfully preserved. They're castles, the city sits on the Danube, there are museums. It's a city of culture. Hungarians are well educated and consider themselves among the most cultured in Europe. And I think that it's, if you went at this particular time, you would be very pleasantly surprised by what you would find in Budapest.
Is English common?
Maybe not as common yet as it is in some of the other countries that surround it. A sufficient number of people do speak English where you don't feel lost when you're in Hungary.
The 4 states are?
Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina.
And how extensive would you call the Hungarian community in that area?
The estimates are approximately 60,000 U.S. citizens who consider themselves Hungarian Americans. As far as immigrants from first-generation immigrants from Hungary, of course that's going to be a relatively small number. There are quite a few Hungarians still living, now elderly, who came to the United States in 1956 with the Hungarian Revolution. Last year was the 50th anniversary of the revolution, and so a lot of those people who were not previously identified wanted to participate in the celebrations around that 50th anniversary of the 1956 Hungarian Revolution. So that was one method for identifying Hungarian Americans who previously weren't known.
Do you think that a number of them came to the South in the mid to late 50s?
Quite a few of them did, and in fact, several of the Hungarian Americans whom I've met in the Atlanta area, including the individual who presently is organizing the Hungarian Club of Georgia, Andrea Lauer Rice, herself was an infant. It came with her parents in 1956 to the United States.
And apparently her mother still lives in Washington, is that correct?
Yes, her mother has been instrumental in forming a group known as the Hungarian American Coalition. And this group is an organization primarily to ensure that those who fled Hungary in 1956 and ended up in the United States have a voice, and at least in some respect, a lobbying footprint in Washington with the United States government.
What do you think will be Hungary's future as an economy?
Well, Hungary joined the European Union some years ago. Hungary also is a full member of NATO, so it's become very integrated with the future of the United States. The economy of Hungary is a reflection of the health of the economies of the European Union and the United States. And so I think as our economies continue to improve in certain sectors, and of course there are various shifts in the economies and ups and downs, that will be reflected directly in Hungary's economy as well. I think the next economic goal for the government of Hungary is to achieve full integration into the European Union. As you might know, there are a number of steps. Once a country becomes a member of the European Union, that's not the end of the process. Often it's the beginning of a process. The European Union sets out different guidelines or qualifications for countries to become fully integrated into the Union. So Hungary's probably number one priority with respect to its position in Europe is achieving full integration, and the next step toward that would be adopting the European currency. They still have the florint, which is the native Hungarian currency, and so a certain number of economic reforms or stages have to have been met successfully and then determined by the European Union as a whole, its governing bodies, the Commission, as being adequate for it then to use the euro, and Hungary is moving toward that. So it's not a full integration yet.